It's been a while since I've seen an update that changed the balance of the game this much. Most updates in the past have been relatively minor in how they affect the game. Toad gets faster, making it more viable and neutral. Rapid Escape gets a shorter duration, making it more balanced and easy to avoid. You know, minor stuff like that. So imagine my surprise when I get a DM from my besto friendo telling me that an update is out, and I see this update log. Trust me when I say that this update is kind of crazy. In a good way. I'll go over this in the analysis, because I have a lot to say, but just note that this update is huge if you're looking at it from a balanced perspective. Before we summarize everything though, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because it helps me to continue to make these videos, and lets you be informed about important updates for Jujutsu Shenanigans. Now, let's go over the updates. Mahito has an awakening, which is a special activation condition. When he presses G, he does a dash forward that has decent range, and does a black flash at the end. Landing it gives him his awakening, and if he misses it, he suffers a penalty of losing about 80% of his meter. Mahito's awakening has one move, which is his domain expansion. Mahito now has an R special. Mahoraga got a new move called Ground Pitch. The awakening bar for perfection was renamed. There are new finishers for Focus Strike, which I'll show you now. The activation methods for Mahoraga's two parries were flipped. Parrying without blocking does the heavy parry, and parrying while blocking does the light parry. There are new visuals for Mahoraga's heavy parry. Mahoraga no longer keeps her awakening when dying to the void. The transitions for partner emotes were improved. There's more ult gain on Mahoraga's heavy parry. Mahoraga's parry animation won't break anymore, hopefully. Rapid Escape can no longer be countered. The swap emote only removes your head and hair accessories. Mahoraga, if using voice chat, pitches your voice down. Landing the first hit of Stockpile guarantees the second hit. This is a nerf, by the way. The UI flash for Megumi's Domain Invasion was removed. The visuals for Megumi's Domain Invasion were updated. Soulfire's damage was gutted. Finally, there's two new emotes. Now, let's talk about this update, and man, I've got a lot to say. Let's start with Mahito and everything about him. First, the Awakening. The whole Black Flash conditional is actually not too hard to land. The move itself is pretty fast, with minimal startup, and has both good range and a good hitbox. Even if you can't hit people who are grounded, meaning that you can't combo into it, it's still really easy to land it in neutral. The conditional itself is super easy to land, with the only difficulty around it being that if you miss, you might as well say goodbye to your awakening meter with the whole 80% penalty. Basically, it's punishing, but not difficult. The Black Flash itself doesn't really deal a whole lot of damage, but it doesn't need to. And visually, well, the background footage speaks for itself. It's cool. Moving on to the domain expansion, Z did a good job of it visually, but that's not the kind of thing I care about. What matters to me is how it actually works, and the gimmick for this domain is that anyone trapped inside it gets a meter. Depending on how close they are to the user, this meter will drain at a certain pace, and if it runs out, they instantly die. Basically, you have to play a huge game of keep away if you ever get trapped in the domain, because getting tagged even once is enough for that meter to instantly drain and result in instant death. It's an incredibly difficult domain to survive, though if I'm being honest, I like it way more than how Sukuna and Gojo's domains are, since those really just take the ability to fight away from you completely. People are complaining about it being overpowered, but in really simple words, if you're looking at it from a one-on-one scenario, those people are kind of being stupid. Every domain in this game is an instant kill, and I'd say this one is actually pretty fair compared to how Sukuna and Gojo are, where they're guaranteed kills with basically no counterplay, as long as they have the moves to capitalize off of it. Domains in this game, besides Hikari's, are all stupidly overpowered anyways, and this is honestly one of the more fun overpowered gimmicks out there. Now, let's talk about the special ability. Mahito's special ability switches between two different weapons, with a rotation of your normal fists, claws or blades, I call them blades personally, and finally, big fists. The two different modes change your dashes and your attack speed. For blades, your attack speed seems to get slightly faster, though it really isn't noticeable, and your dash gets replaced with the Katana Man thing, where you take a stance before teleporting forward and slashing anything in your path, doing okay damage and doing very short stun that you can combo off of if you're at the right distance. For Big Fist mode, your M1s become incredibly slow, to the point that you can't really punish a lot of M-lags in the game, and your dash gets replaced by a move where you do a short wind-up before doing a spin move with pretty decent AoE that ragdolls anyone hit while doing really small damage. I'll be honest, Blade mode is the only thing here that you should care about. The Blade dash is really good for mobility because it is a teleport, meaning that it's really disorienting for people to fight against. It is blockable and can be punished off of block, but that'll only happen if you hit them at the perfect distance where you end up really close to them. Most of the time, you'll end up going way past them, and neither of you can capitalize off of the hit in that case. Overall, the Blade Dash is just great, because the teleport helps you catch people off guard and close the gap for a nice side dash follow-up if you miss, and for an M1 string if you do hit it. Meanwhile, the fists, in the kindest way I can put it, are straight ass. They're legitimate garbage. Slowing down your M1s is such a handicap that completely makes it useless for neutral, so you can't use this mode if you're trying to fight normally, and can only use it for its ability before having to immediately switch it off. It's so bad because of how you can't punish people normally due to how slow your M1s are, and as for the move itself, it's just okay. The windup is really easy for people to interrupt and punish, and even when you get the move off, it's pretty easy to just dash away and get out of the very short range. It's alright for getting someone on wake up, but even then, it does the same amount of damage as slapping someone with a pillow, so you're not getting much by doing that. Guard break wise, the fact that it's so slow makes it really easy to punish, with the same problem that Rough Energy has. Overall, the move just sucks and has too many limitations to be good. Pretty unfortunate, since the concept behind it is pretty cool. Now, let's talk about the rest of Mahito's balance changes, and there's two important ones. Soulfire's damage is gutted, and the stockpile extender was removed. The stockpile extender being removed is something I really like, mostly because that whole tech was cancer. It gave Mahito 2 combo extenders, which is just flat out stupid, and while it tanks his damage output a little, I'd rather have that over the broken BS that forces you to sit through a combo string for far longer than normal. It was just a dumb tech that was more stupid than anything else. As for Soulfire being nerfed, it's a huge blow to Mahito. The nerf makes it far more balanced obviously, though it does definitely make it a lot more average. It's alright as a zoner tool, but now that it doesn't completely erase health bars, Mahito's whole damage output is a lot lower. He's still not bad, but this nerf really hurts his damage. It's deserved though, and I'm very glad Z did this because this was a nerf that was absolutely needed. Mahoraga's new move looks terrible. It picks up a rock and after a pretty long windup, throws it forward. The problem with this move is that it can't hit people who are even somewhat close to you, it's way too easy to just interrupt it because of the high startup, and it doesn't even do much damage for how limited it is. It's like Hollow Purple if you stripped Hollow Purple of everything that made it a really strong move. The stupid Mahoraga passive that he gets because of the adaptation gimmick will probably make up for it, but unless I'm missing something, this move is a definition of filler. Switching to parry conditions is a good thing in my book. It just makes more sense. Now the heavy parry is more risky, since you're using it with no block to safeguard you, while the light parry is a way to enhance your own block and negate guard breaks when you're turtling. It's a good change that makes sense, and I personally like it. Finally, the most controversial change of the bunch, which is Megumi's rapid escape becoming uncounterable. Look, I'll keep this short and simple. If you think this breaks Megumi and makes him overpowered, you're stupid. There are plenty of people in the Discord throwing a hissy fit over this. But if you can't take the time to grow a brain and time your Manji kick to their block bypass, or even simpler than that, just learning how to use your block button, then you deserve all the pain you get from this. Hell, it actually makes Megumi's matchup with Akari even worse, since Shutter Door's counter works as a way to deal with the block bypass. People thinking that this nerf makes Rapid Escape busted are being idiotic, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it because the amount of overreactions I've seen to this change blows my mind. Megumi is not impossible to fight against, he's not automatically S tier because of this change, Z isn't being stupid, and you're all crazy. This update exists because Manji Kick completely shut down Megumi and turned it into an impossible matchup. Now, it's just a really bad matchup for Megumi, which is way better than the complete massacre that it was in the past. With that, I'm finished with my ranting about this update. I honestly think it's a good set of balance changes, and really, the only problems I see people having with it that actually make a little bit of sense is that it only affects early access players for the most part. Though honestly, those people kind of just have to suck it up and accept that early access characters need to be finished. The rest of the complaints are from people who just suck at the game, saying that Megumi is god tier, or from people either saying Mahito is gutted by his update because he can't do a one-shot combo, or from people on the other side of the coin saying that he's overpowered because they're getting outskilled by Mahito players. It's really hilarious how much controversy this update caused, because it doesn't deserve it. Nothing Z did here is unreasonable, and if I have one criticism, maybe the Mahito balancing is a little bit early since he doesn't have a 4th move yet, and the Awakening should have gone normal moves before he got an ultimate. But seriously, it's not that bad. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for even more updates on Jujutsu Shenanigans. I'm Eternally, the King of Yapping, and I'll see you next time in another video. Bye.